Hi, friends. Today I want to talk to you about your signature offer. What we think of as your signature offer is the best way that your prospects and clients can work with you. It's usually a 6-month offer or a 12-month offer, and you might have a series of offers, or this might be your only offer. But if I come to you and say, man, I really want help with this thing that you do, what's the best way you can help me? That's it. That's your signature offer. A signature offer could be as simple as a single offering. It could be that you, in your signature offer, just provide one on one coaching. Or I know some programs are just live events. You get 3 or 4 live 3-day retreats every single year. And that's it. The program consists entirely of one thing. In most cases, though, signature offers are a compilation of several pieces that create your value stack. So your signature offer might include one-on-one coaching. It might include group coaching calls. It might include a live event. It might include a digital product or recordings of the trainings that are being run in the group, or any of a number of other different things. By the way, if you're interested in really step by step walking through the process of designing your signature offer, we do that in our 100K Christian Coaches Challenge. This is only $7, and we'd love for you to jump into that. You can find that at salesisgood.com. You need to put the www in front of it, I think. www.salesisgood.com. But what I really want to talk to you about the signature offer is this. It's yours, your signature offer. That's what I really want to bring to you today. And we capitalized in this episode the YOUR. You're going to design an offer with a value stack potentially and a value to each item in the offer, which is going to help you come up with your actual price of the offer. But the emphasis on your is to say this. You do not need your offer to mimic anybody else's in the marketplace. You don't need to do the things that you've seen other people do with their signature offers. And sometimes I think, as funny as it sounds, as entrepreneurs, we need permission to do it our way. Now, this doesn't mean that we should discard or disregard the wisdom of the people who've come before us. Each of us should have mentors, leaders, coaches, and others that we want to emulate in the marketplace. We like the way they show up. We've learned from them. We've gotten value from them. Success leave clues. Success leave clues? Success leaves clues. We all know this. And so we should absolutely learn from people. And while we're doing that, we should absolutely consider every single thing we're learning from someone else, every single thing we see from someone else in the marketplace, and ask ourselves, is that for me? Now, I'm not talking about some deep, deep consideration. I had a conversation with a couple of people in our Christian Coaches Academy last week, and we were talking about curiosity and the gift that curiosity is. And one of the gentlemen suggested, this is Steve Thompson, that while curiosity is really good for him, that sometimes he can be too curious for his own good. And he said curiosity can lead him to inaction because he wants to research every single thing, find the best answer at all times, the best solution. And he could spend so much time being curious that he spends very little time moving into action. And I can relate to that. I've had a lot of experiences like that in my life. I'm sure others can relate to that as well. And so I'm talking about considering the things that you see other people doing, but not to the point of like paralyzing yourself or being stuck in inaction. I want you to consider things for a moment, make a decision, and move forward. And maybe it's more than a moment for you. Maybe certain decisions you consider for a few minutes or even a few hours. Maybe you bring it to prayer. Maybe you sleep on it. But none of these things should be considered with the depth of like stressing yourself out to the point of inaction. If you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard me say that done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. There's a cost of inaction, and we need to make sure that we're not paying that cost. However, even just taking a few moments to consider what you're doing, what you're offering, why you're doing it is really important. And I think that as you do that, you can ask yourself a couple of questions. The first is, does this have integrity for me? Does this have integrity for me? One of the things I notice a lot of other coaches do in the marketplace is they sell their programs for $3 less than the assumed price of the program. What I mean by that is they might have a $10,000 offer, but they sell it for $9,997. Or maybe they've got a $20,000 offer, but they sell it for $19,997. That's fine. That's their choice. That's a marketing tactic that's been around for a very long time and I'm sure is extremely effective. When I thought about that for me, though, when I took even just a few seconds or a minute to think about that for me, I decided that's not for me. Now I get it. Under $100, I think it's reasonable. Under $100, if you take $3 off the price, that's actually a significant change. Once you get into the thousands of dollars, though, and tens of thousands of dollars, taking $3 off the price doesn't feel like an authentic number to me. I'd rather call my program 10K than call it $9,997, or I'd rather call it 20K than $19,997. To me, that just feels like it has price integrity. And if there's somebody who would have bought my program for $9,997 but wouldn't buy it for 10K, I don't want them to buy. It's probably not responsible for them to buy if that $3 and that marketing tactic made the difference. Does this mean that you need to adopt my philosophy on pricing? No, not at all. In fact, you could consider what I just said. Take a few seconds, take a minute, say, does this have integrity for me? And you might say, you know what? 9,997, like there's a mental breakthrough that we can have with people that can make it easier for the right people to say yes if we take that $3 off. And it removes barrier to entry. And I feel like that's the right thing to do because I know my program helps people and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to get you to adopt my value system around the $3. What I am trying to get you to do is adopt your value system rather than somebody else's. And so that was something that I saw again and again in the marketplace. But I asked myself the question, does this have integrity for me? And the answer for that for me was no. So then a second question you could ask is, does this feel fun for me or does this feel heavy for me? If you've heard me talk about offers, you've heard these questions. Is it fun or is it heavy? I've seen people make crazy offers in the marketplace. Like really successful coaches make offers that have like dozens of components to them. And I'm sure are incredibly valuable, but they stress me out to even think about them. In fact, we've had some incredible 7 and 8 figure coaches hire my company to do sales for them. And for some of them, I simplify the details of the offer when I'm expressing them to the prospect. Because if I shared every single line item, it would just overwhelm some people because there's so much there. So I'll say the primary components of the program are this, 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 and this. And if you ever need access to anything else, we've got this, all these different resources that you can go to. But the focus is really here, 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 and here. And then I'm, of course, going to tailor it to the person I'm talking to and say, for you specifically, I feel like the most value is going to come from this and this based on the problem you're trying to solve. And so I'm going to simplify that offer because it feels so heavy and overwhelming to me, even to explain out loud. I'm guessing, though, for the coach offering it, that doesn't feel heavy for them. It feels fun for them to offer all those different resources, all those different ways that people can gather support. So that's the way they do it. But if you had your first experience in the coaching world by hiring a coach who offered 12 different things in their signature offer, and you automatically assumed you had to do that, and then you put yourself in a situation where you did feel overwhelmed, where it felt really heavy for you to fulfill on the offer that you made, then maybe you didn't pause to say, does that feel fun for me or does that feel heavy? My encouragement to you, especially as new coaches in the marketplace, and even 6-figure coaches in the marketplace, is to have a simpler offer, or to at least consider an offer that is going to feel fun for you and light rather than super heavy. Now, as you grow your business and you get to a certain level of success, like some of those 7 and 8 figure coaches, you probably bring on team, systems and processes, better technology, better wisdom and experience, and maybe you add in complexity as you have team members to support the complexity. But for a new business owner, I know for me, I had to ask myself, does that sound fun or heavy? And there were a lot of things I saw successful coaches do in the marketplace that just sounded really heavy for me. One of them is a simple one. I know a lot of coaches like to offer Voxer access. Voxer is a walkie-talkie app. Super cool offering for some of the clients. The idea is that the client could send you a voice message at any time on Voxer, and they could ask you a question. And many of these coaches say that I'll respond within 24 hours or 48 hours so that you can get an answer to your questions at any time. And you have access to me 24/7. I've heard that many times in the marketplace. I think it sounds interesting. It sounds cool. Sounds great for the clients. That sounds incredibly heavy for me. I would never offer that because I don't want to be available 24/7 to my clients. I want to be available to my family. I want to be available to God and to my space with Jesus. And I don't want to get overwhelmed. And I know myself. If I had too much influx of that kind of communication, I would feel overwhelmed and drained. I sometimes have a hard enough time keeping up with my email and my text messages as it is. And I don't need to introduce that additional piece. Now, again, while that feels heavy for me, that could feel really fun for you. And maybe as a new coach, if you're only working with a few clients, that could feel really light also. We've got almost 100 clients right now. And so that's a lot of people that I would have to have access to responding to those Voxer messages. So I'm not going to make that kind of promise. A third question that you could ask yourself is, do I want to do it like that? Like, does that feel authentic to me? So if these are the three questions you're asking yourself, number one, does that have integrity for me? Number two, does it feel fun or heavy for me? And number three, do I want to do it like that? Or does that feel authentic to me? In other words, does that feel like me? If it doesn't feel like you, it doesn't feel authentic to you, it doesn't feel like the way you want to do it, something just feels off. Don't do it that way. Do it your way. Your way can be completely different. One of the things that we do in our Christian Coaches Academy is we offer a prayer and networking call every week. I love it. It's one of my favorite things that we do in our business. And the people who show up on those calls love it too. We put people in breakout rooms of 4 or 5 people, and they answer 3 questions, and they pray together, and they get to know each other, and they network. And I only spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes with the group during an hour-long call, and the rest of the time they spend with each other. To me, that feels like me. That feels authentic. I love networking. I love connecting with great people. I love praying together. Like, one of the greatest values that I've ever experienced in the marketplace has been getting connected to the right people, being in the right rooms, meeting the right people. One relationship opens the door to the next and the next and the next. And investing in relationships has been key to me. Prayer has also been one of the most important strategies in my business, inviting God into all parts of it, praying for God, surrendering to God over and over again, and asking for him to support me in my business has been critical for me. So holding that prayer and networking call as a primary piece of one of our 3 core Faith2Influence programs feels totally like me. It feels authentic to me. Many other coaches, by the way, would be like, no, thank you. That doesn't feel like one of the primary offerings I want to put in my program. For some people, that would feel way off base, and that's okay. One of the things that my former company used to do that I worked with before I started Faith2Influence is they would hold their group calls on evenings, Tuesday evenings. That felt heavy to me, and it didn't feel authentic to me. It didn't feel like it honored my values and my way of being, because I wanted to be having dinner with my wife. I wanted to spend the evening with my family. I did not want to be on a work call in the evening. And so that wasn't authentic to me. So I made the mistake of thinking I had to do evening calls when I first started my business, because I wasn't in the state of awareness that I'm trying to bring you into right now. I'm inviting you to awareness. I didn't have that. I had seen Tuesday evening calls, so I thought I needed to hold evening calls, and I did Tuesday evening calls when I launched my first mastermind for Faith2Influence. But after a certain period of time, I decided to be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more intentional, and consider the things I was doing. And I asked myself, does that feel like me? And it did not. I resented those Tuesday calls, even though I love leading group calls with my clients. And so what I had to do was switch the calls to mornings. And I did. I switched the calls to Wednesday morning. I gave the announcement to my clients. I lost 0 clients. No one had a problem with it. Everyone who cared about this made it work, and my business continued to grow and thrive. So I didn't need to do these evening calls. I thought I did because I was following an example I had seen from someone else without considering whether or not that was the right way for me to do it. And when I authentically stepped into holding all of my group calls during the day, I felt better. I felt more energized. I performed better on those calls, and my business felt better. My life felt better. It was so nice to have my Tuesday nights back with my wife. That's important to me. So, these are examples of how I want you to consider your signature offer. We do have another podcast episode on designing and pricing your offer. It was one of our first episodes. You can go back to that if you want more training on this, or like I mentioned before, salesisgood.com, our challenge for $7 can help you step by step actually draft out your signature offer and your pricing. But many of you listening to this already have the rough draft of that, or you've already been running a successful business for a period of time with your offer. It's never too late to pivot like I did with those Tuesday night calls and make a change and move it to Wednesday. What is the truth about your offer? Does each piece of it have integrity for you? Does it feel fun for you? And does it feel authentic to you? Does it feel like you? Does it honor your values? When you get these things right, stepping up into your coaching business and leading, making sales, engaging at a high level, all these things are going to become easier, more fun, more valuable, and you'll attract your tribe more easily. Good luck and have fun crafting or optimizing your signature offer. God bless you all. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon.